Every day, huge numbers of goods are transported across the world. This worldwide and ever-growing traffic of goods is subject to a number of complications. In every country, international companies have to deal with different trading and customs systems. The global logistics sector has to take into account continuous terrorist threats and increased awareness of food safety. Apart from the threats of terror, governments everywhere want to fight fraud. In Europe alone, VAT and excise duty fraud amounts to tens of billions of dollars per year. Obviously, governments want to stimulate trade, but they also want to control it. In other words, they want better and earlier access to the logistical data of companies. This means that time and time again, companies have to enter these data into the systems of various government agencies. The cost of this administrative bureaucracy in international trade is about $500 billion a year worldwide. All parties have the same goal: for international trade to become faster and more efficient. Data transfer and procedures need to be simplified and harmonized. In order to achieve this goal, ITAIDE was set up in 2006, an international project with 5 stakeholders: companies, IT providers, governments, universities, and standardization organizations. The key word is IT innovation. A number of IT innovations have been tested in so-called living labs: on dairy products in Denmark, beer in the Netherlands, pharmaceutical drugs in Ireland, and paper in Finland. In these pilot projects, products were dispatched to all parties along the chain, including government agencies. This resulted in the I3 framework. ITAIDE Information Infrastructure. A company can benefit from accelerated trade if it becomes a trusted trader. To become a trusted trader, a company needs to prove to the government that it is in control of its business operations. IT innovations provide critical capabilities for companies to control their businesses. In Heineken's Living Lab for beer, smart container seals were tested. This was an IT solution to monitor and control container movements from beginning to end. Another one of ITAIDE's focal points was the optimization of data exchange between companies and customs. Let's say Heineken and their supply chain partners want to send a container from the Netherlands to the UK or the USA. In order to do that, Heineken has to provide data to a number of government agencies: the Export Declaration System, the VAT system, the excise system, and statistical data. And so must the others. All in all, we're talking about some 20 different documents and data sets. An intelligent routing of information between businesses and governments can be realized by i3's service-oriented architecture and web services. This is a fundamental transformation from data push by companies to data pull by government agencies. This leads to a single window solution. By giving government inspection agencies secured access to part of Heineken's enterprise information system, agencies can apply the piggybacking principle. They reuse available business data for governmental control purposes, instead of requesting extra customs data. This service-oriented architecture was successfully implemented by IBM and SAP in the ITAIDE pilots. Heineken has successfully tested the I3 framework, and the concept has been extended in other living labs, those of Arla and UPM, and a pharmaceutical company. By using the I3 framework, companies are better positioned to apply for a trusted trader status and benefit from fewer inspections. This can be done if companies prove to the government that they are in control of their operations by ensuring end-to-end physical control of their shipments, as well as end-to-end information transparency. A set of critical capabilities can enable companies to prove that they are in control. Building these critical capabilities is enabled by IT innovations, such as smart seals and service-oriented architectures, standardized data models, and interoperability tools for IT systems, software tools for procedure redesign and simplification, such as E3 control, and innovative network collaboration models. Accelerated trade can only be achieved when a win-win situation between business and government is created.
E-customs is a truly socio-technical issue. IT innovation was key for the success of the ITAIDE Living Labs. But equally important was the creation of a neutral environment where the potentially conflicting interests of businesses, governments, and IT providers could be aligned into win-win situations for all stakeholders. In ITAIDE, the academic partners provided that neutral ground. But with the network collaboration models, we explained how also other parties could play that role.
I think the results of the ITAIDE project are very useful for the implementation of e-customs in Heineken. My view is that paperless declarations and trusted trader concepts are the future. But right now, the ITAIDE results are a bit too innovative for the European regulations on e-customs. But I really hope that the Commission will be convinced by pilots such as ITAIDE Living Labs to amend the legislation so that ITAIDE solutions will be rolled out in Europe.
My responsibility in the ITAIDE project was to realize the input from experts on legal, ICT and audit subjects. The Tax and Customs Administration in the Netherlands has a positive approach towards developing optimizations. That is why we actively participated in the ITAIDE work packages and living labs, in particular to simplify customs procedures for businesses, using the ITAIDE solutions. The Netherlands Tax and Customs Administration supported the innovative approach of ITAIDE and is enthusiastic about the outcome of the project. Particularly visionary and workable for e-customs are the ideas about the transformation from data push to data pull, and the piggyback principle. Optimize audit by reusing existing activities, specifically internal control measures taken by a company.
At DG TaxUD, I'm responsible for the customs trans-European systems. They're also called electronic customs systems. A typical example of that would be the export control system, also known as ECS by the people. We are very happy with the results achieved by ITAIDE, and as they are very useful for our business, and we hope that also in future the living labs of ITAIDE can continue to exist and they can continue to provide us with excellent suggestions for streamlining of the business or improvements of the business processes.
I am Director of the Trade Division of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, based in Geneva, Switzerland. Through our Global Center for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business, known as UNCFACT, the UNECE develops standards and best practice that are used to support trade around the world. We participated in ITAIDE because the project provided a living lab to test our latest generation of standards and technologies for trade in the 21st century. I believe that the outputs of ITAIDE are highly relevant, both for our work and for the implementation of paperless trade and single windows for export and import clearance, not only in the European Union, but also in developing countries and transition economies. We, in the United Nations, will now seek to make the results of this project accessible to potential users everywhere.
I am working at the World Customs Organization, and I am responsible for the WCO data model, which defines the data requirements for cross-border regulatory clearance of import, export, and transit goods. The WCO data model is aligned with other international standards, such as those from the UNCFACT. I think the results of the ITAIDE project were very useful for the WCO data model and for the development of e-customs in general. The ITAIDE project promoted the collaboration between the World Customs Organization, the UN CFACT, and the European Commission in the development of e-customs.